So let's bring our learning down to a granular level. How do I become intentional about vocabulary instruction in my classroom? Here are 5 steps to help enhance vocabulary instruction in your own classroom. Step 1 is to know the key characteristics of effective vocabulary instruction that we've just discussed. Step 2 is identify and sort key vocabulary into 3 tiers. Step 3, create a print-rich environment for your students. Step 4, identify and master some evidence-based instructional strategies that will work for you in your classroom with your students. And step 5, choose some digital tools that support word learning. Now let's talk about each of these steps in greater detail. Step 1 in building a great vocabulary program is to know and understand the key characteristics of effective vocabulary. If you have a solid grasp on these concepts, it will serve you well in choosing instructional strategies and tools to efficiently teach vocabulary to your specific students. There are several characteristics of an effective vocabulary instruction program. However, let's highlight just a few of the most important aspects of research-based instruction. Multiple exposure means that students must be exposed to words multiple times and in varied formats or contexts before they can really internalize the word as part of their own lexicon. Front-loading key vocabulary is a strategy we often see used in the classroom, which means that teachers select specific vocabulary words and introduce them prior to a new lesson. This allows students to tap into their prior knowledge and make connections between their own lives and the words, as well as forge discussions with their peers. When students have the opportunity to create images, pictures, diagrams, or even act out new vocabulary words, it increases the chances for students to remember not only the word, but its meaning as well. We refer to this as non-linguistic representation. As mentioned earlier, these are only a few of the characteristics we would hope to see in a vocabulary-rich classroom. But be on the lookout in upcoming modules designed to give you an in-depth look at specific vocabulary instructional models. Be on the lookout for upcoming modules designed to give you an in-depth look at specific vocabulary instructional strategies. One of the 6 fundamental shifts set forth in order to effectively teach the Common Core State standards is a focus on academic vocabulary. To that end, they have suggested 3 tiers of vocabulary words as a way to sort and organize the words students encounter. Tier 1 are common words used in everyday conversations. Examples might include things like big, small, house, table, family, cat, dog. Tier 2 words are high-frequency academic words that are used across curricular domains, such as predict, explain, expand, maybe summarize or justify. An important note though, Tier 2 words are likely to appear in written text versus speech, which means students primarily learn these through reading or explicit instruction. And finally, we have Tier 3 words. Tier 3 words are domain-specific vocabulary, such as isotope, or tectonic plate, or quadratic, or democracy, or hyperbole. These are highly specialized words that students may be unfamiliar with and therefore need direct instruction in order to learn these words effectively enough to use them. By simply understanding this tiering system, it can help you sort and organize the words you encounter in your own curriculum and prioritize the academic words, which are so important to building a robust vocabulary. Step 3 is creating a print-rich environment. Now, you might be thinking, how do I create a print-rich environment when I already have limited funds and limited space? Well, the good news is you probably already have done much of this in your own classroom to help you create a language-saturated environment. Begin with a display of student work, student books and information, bulletin boards, opportunities to read, write, listen, and speak. And then, since you probably already have these in place, as time and money allow, try adding a few of these pieces. Classroom libraries that include a variety of genres and text types. Perhaps you've got anchor charts, some that you create and some that you co-create with students. Content posters, word walls, labels on things, literacy workstations, writing centers, computers. Step 4, identify and master a few evidence-based instructional strategies that you're comfortable with. These that follow are just a sample of the evidence-based strategies that you can learn and incorporate into your teaching routines. Marzano has developed a 6-step vocabulary process that's really helpful for building academic vocabulary. You can use a strategy called Alpha Boxes, developed by Linda Hoyt, which is a strategy for activating prior knowledge, building vocabulary and comprehension both before, during, and after reading. You can also use concept circles. Developed by Vaca and Vaca, it's a visual organizer that categorizes words related to content or topic. This simple tool helps students analyze connections between words and to explain relationships among words and the topic. Finally, you can try anchored word learning. This is developed by Isabel Beck, and it's a strategy that uses the power of read-alouds to introduce and help students learn targeted Tier 2 words within context. We'll be featuring an in-depth look at individual instructional strategies in upcoming modules, so be sure to check back for those in coming months. Step 5 in building a vocabulary-rich environment is to help choose digital tools that support word learning for your students. You want to make sure that digital tools allow students to hear pronunciations, read words in a variety of authentic examples, view photos and images that are related to words to reinforce the vocabulary meaning, reinforce word learning through some interactive games. You want digital text that allows students to play with and manipulate the language. Try to find tools that help discover rhyming words. Also, it's great if you can have tools that allow students to collaborate with classmates, for example, creating virtual word walls. The National Reading Panel in their report in 2000 cited technology as a wonderful aid to building and developing vocabulary in students. The key, though, is to find a few that are right for you and the needs of your specific students. Okay, it's time to put your thinking into practice. Please pause the recording and go to activity number 3 below. When you're done, please press play again. Let's close today's modules with some do's and don'ts of vocabulary instruction. Let's start with our do's. Please do make sure that you provide multiple exposure to words. Have students create non-linguistic representations, drawing and acting out of key words. Make sure that you focus on academic vocabulary for instruction, those words that would be considered Tier 2 or Tier 3. Support independent reading in a variety of genres, even if this means comic books or cereal boxes or magazines. Use the power of digital media for practice and review of key vocabulary, and make sure that you have a plan in place to directly teach individual words. Now let's look at some of our don'ts. Please don't have students look up words in the dictionary and copy the definitions. Be sure not to teach too many words at one time. Just a few will suffice. Make sure that you don't introduce words and then forget about them. If they don't have reinforcement, students will forget about them too. Require students to use new words and sentences too quickly can really be confusing and difficult for students. They need a chance to become comfortable with those words before they use them. Don't arbitrarily assign lists of words to students. And don't rely solely on level books for word learning. So in bringing our module to a close, we'll be finishing with our quick card. Quick cards are designed to provide you with the highlights from today's course in an easily digestible bite so that you may take this with you into your work in the classroom. Thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you again very soon.